Watch him throw the ball, we gon' pick it off. You gon' let him hit the hole or you gon' cut it off. You gon' play through fourth and long or you gon' punt it off. Your defenders, heavy hitters, put your pads in. Don't be looking for the ref to throw no flags in. Keep the helmet on, keep the cleats tight. You the type to want to win by any means, right? You should look alive. This is Trap or Die.
Yes, sir. Welcome back to another episode of the Trap. Don't even do it, Dakota. Trap or Die podcast. I'm your host, Mual. AJ's checking in. I have the worst time, and somebody's supposed to be at my house to drop something off, and I got to keep the dog upstairs with me. And she stopped by as soon as the show started. Anyway, AJ's in here. Let me go ahead and give it to my my co-host, AJ. Man, how you feeling today, big dog?
Today's been one of those days, but at the end of the day, just gotta keep moving on. But yeah, man, just
you got some drama in your life, brother?
Not drama, just more so, kind of like everybody relies on you. So, that's just the responsibility of of being one of those individuals, I guess, that is dependable.
that makes a ton of sense, bro. Dre is just checking in now. Dre had himself quite an episode last week. I don't think we ever been in a situation where Dre was on and literally I don't like you didn't even have a chance to say anything. Like it was that type of day. Did you get your situation? I was like, did you get your situation fixed, bro?
We good. I got that shit fixed yesterday. I was dealing with that, but like that day of the podcast, bro, I was trying to work that day. My computer kept shutting off. I was like, man, I'm done. I said, hey, y'all was lit anyway. It was all good, man. Luckily, so I ain't messed nothing up, but it was frustrating, bro.
Nah, I felt that because I was like, I know we mainly like our employment, like we working from home. So I was like, I know you going through it even during the daytime, bro. You can't get nothing going.
It was a nightmare.
Well, man, we have a team in the Washington Commanders who have not been fully eliminated from the playoffs yet, right? And I shouldn't even say it like that. They are still in the playoff race. Let's go ahead and invert that. Like let's go neutral here. They are still mathematically in the playoff race. And this week was interesting. And before I even get to the Giants, and matter of fact, maybe I even lead with Dre because he had missed some time. Yes, since he wasn't on the show on Tuesday. I want to make sure that you even get your thoughts off with how the week has been in terms of you processing Seattle's game and your mindset going into the New York game, especially given that you weren't around for the Tuesday discussion. What are you thinking about the mob? How you can take it whatever you want to go about this team as they get ready for the Giants.
I mean, I still feel the same way I felt after the Seahawks game in the sense that I am in draft mode. However, now I'm to the point where certain players who I want to look at, and I do want to see these guys look good throughout the season. Sam Howell, of course, being one of those guys, the quarterback position. I mean, as much as I love the quarterbacks in this draft, I mean, it just makes life much easier on you if Sam Howell is the guy because you don't have to allocate resources there. You can actually put guys around him. I mean, he's, I know a lot of people are convinced he's that guy right now, and that's fine. I mean, I'm still not quite there, but we're definitely having a discussion. I'm intrigued, and I definitely want to see him, keep on doing what he's doing, just grasp that because I would love to go into next season not really worried about the quarterback or stressing the quarterback position. I'm definitely going to be looking at guys like Emmanuel Forbes throughout the season, see his progression. It was so unfortunate to see him get that bogus ejection on Sunday because, I mean, I thought he played well the week before. I mean, he did play. He played a hell of a game the week before, and I wanted to see him kind of, follow up and, put together a couple of strong performances. So he's a guy I'll be watching going forward. They'll beat the Giants. I mean, I know we're going to talk about that in this show this week. They'll beat them. So while I'm probably going to be more so looking for draft position, I'm not worried about that this week because I don't think there's a chance in hell the Giants beat us. So, I mean, I'll go into this game kind of excited to see some guys, see if they can go put a strong performance together. But overall, man, I'm in the evaluation mode right now with the guys. The team, so to speak, the whole playoff jump. I know this is Ron Rivera's, this is his heaven, just being in the hunt. Like, Ron just wants to be in the hunt. I don't think we have any potential outside of just being in the hunt or actually making any noise in the playoffs. So that doesn't really excite me right now. And I mean, I know it's still, a thing, it's a possibility, but I'm just not excited because it's Ron Rivera leading the charge. And I just don't feel like the ceiling is very high with this team. I just feel like you're capped off with Ron Rivera.
Yeah, I think that's the hard, or not even, I shouldn't say hard. That's probably like a situation where you look at, oh Lord, I didn't even realize this was the tweet I was looking at. So I'm looking at, I'm gonna get back to my point, but I'm looking at this tweet that I saw a couple days ago. It was in my bookmarks, but Pro Football Focus has Cameron Cheeseman. This is from Jay Cohen. Has Cameron Cheeseman ranked as the lowest ranked special teams player in the entire NFL. Wow, I didn't even realize that. Okay.
Bro, but speaking of, I want to say something about that real quick. If Cameron Cheeseman wasn't drafted, he would have been cut. This is Ron and them had their chance to cut him. Remember when they brought all those guys in? That was just to say, hey, we hear you all. I think I said that then as well. I think that was just the whole moment of we hear you all, but we're not doing anything to fix this. But if he was anybody else, that guy's gone. But because they drafted him, which you should never do, you should never draft a long snapper. Now that puts you in a position to have to play with this guy, even though he's the lowest rated special teams player in the league. And we see it on a daily basis with the botch snaps, the low snaps on field goals, everything. I mean, that's another Ron disaster.
Yeah, I'm over here. I'm so confused because I mean, not like confused from that standpoint. It's like even if, because my thing is even if Pro Football Focus wasn't the end all be all, which it isn't, right? But even if it was, I would say, I think it's probably the thing I'm thinking. If you got a person that's dead last on a ranking list like this, bruh, there you can find somebody in free agency that can be somewhat consistent. Like, you don't have to be the best person, the strongest, or whatever you need to snap the ball to the placeholder. I don't know, bro, but like dead last is something where I think about it and we look at all of the high snaps, low snaps, inconsistent. Like, they're not even always high. Like, they're always like somewhere in between. And you know, one of the things to think about is the Seattle game where I do think the kicker slide. I think he missed the field goal off of it was a botch snap, right? Like, it was too high or too low or something like that.
I don't remember, but I know Tress saved one of them. Like, Tress actually saved one of the bad snaps that could have been even worse. But I think you might be right, because I was watching on my phone, so I didn't see a lot of it.
Yeah, I think that was the reason why Sly had missed the first kick. So in theory, just like if things played out the way they did, you're talking about Washington going into that final Seahawk drive with the lead as opposed to a tie ball game. So yeah, I mean that's interesting. But yeah, let me close out of that. You mentioned, I guess where I was going to get back to, it's crazy if I can remember this. You had mentioned just it's not much to look forward to within Ron because he's capped off, and I think we know that. But I also think with the way Bieniemy talked this week and even Sam Howell talked this week, you know, I'm excited to see what this offense can do for this team. I know where I stand with Sam in terms of like I'm willing and have the patience to see more, and I think that's what is a factor into my excitement for the rest of the last 7 games, because you're going up against the San Francisco team. We know their defense is top notch. Same thing with the Dallas Cowboys, and then you also have a team in the Miami Dolphins where their defense isn't that great, but they have an elite cornerback. They have a solid pass rusher up front, and then they have a really good defensive coordinator in Vic Fangio, right? So like their interior defensive line is pretty good too. So that's going to be a challenge for the offense as well. And to that point, like thinking about these matchups coming up, the win-loss part is something where I'm starting to be like, I'm starting to disassociate. Well, I kind of have been. For me personally, like it's not about wins and losses. This year it's always about figuring out who Sam was, and who Bieniemy was, and that's kind of where I like. Yeah, Ron is definitely capped off, but I don't know how far these guys can take it. In terms of Bieniemy and Sam, and one of the things that really encouraged me that it was a click. Based on how Eric Bieniemy and his pressure was able to articulate it, he's noticing that people in the locker room on the offensive side, he made clear like he don't know what the hell everybody else is doing, but on the offensive side, they're actually in the locker room discussing adjustments, discussing X's and O's, discussing what they want to do or what they need in certain situations out of their teammates that's starting on the field in certain moments. And I'm not sitting here saying that is like a revelation in the sense of like, I mean, you can imagine certain teams do it, but I think the idea in the spotlight that Bieniemy wanted to share to the public was that is a winning mindset. It's about how am I going to win this football game? And it's not about just casual conversation in the locker room. If you think about it, bro, like think about now my memory. I don't know if you all know this. I know AJ said he didn't really listen to many podcasts out there. But I think it was a JP Finley like he will have conversations on his podcast where he's casually talking about what's going on in the locker room, right? Think about Montez and Chase, and they're just talking shit in the locker room. It's never an observation from anybody that's in the locker room in terms of reporters mentioning like those type of things like that Bieniemy talked about. Like Bieniemy's talking about X's and O's, but these guys are joking around and they're just talking shit in the locker room, having fun. I'm not saying you can't do that, but I'm saying the observations from the media has never been about what Bieniemy shared. And that's where I'm thinking that's really encouraging. And I want to know if what he's saying translates over the next 7 games, because if they do translate, we're seeing some significant growth from an offensive side of the football where we haven't seen something like this since the Kirk days, bro. It's as simple as that. I don't know.
No, I thought AJ was about to go.
Yeah, I don't know.
But no, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. So, I mean, now, you know, the last couple of games, we've seen the quick game thing, which, you know, Sam's getting the ball out faster, you know, and it's working for him. Now you want to see, you know, with Eric Bieniemy in the game plan, if teams start to try to, you know, find a way to take that away, how do they adjust to that? Can Sam, you know, beat that? Can Sam be good outside of that? I think that's one of the most intriguing things to watch going forward, especially with Eric Bieniemy, because obviously he still has a lot to prove, you know, but he's been looking good these past couple of weeks. I mean, there were a lot of question marks about Eric Bieniemy the first few games of the season. Now we're kind of seeing, you know, the offense getting in a groove. I mean, the big thing is you still go back to the Philadelphia games, you know, both of those games, the offense, you know, really, those are probably the best 2 games the offense has played all year. You know, and then obviously you go against Seattle.
But you said the 2 Philadelphia games, right?
Yeah, the 2 Philadelphia games. Yes, I think those were the 2 best offensive performances of the year. But we were kind of looking at those as isolated, like maybe they just have Philadelphia's number, maybe they just match up well with Philadelphia. But then you see it, they go out against the Patriots. They go out and look good against the Patriots. They go out and look good against the Seahawks on the road. So now you're like, okay, they're starting to get in the groove now. But again, you mentioned we got San Francisco coming up. We have Dallas twice coming up. So you got those games, the Miami Dolphins, even though, like you said, the Dolphins the defense isn't the same as their offense, but their offense puts you in a position as your offense and to getting in a shootout in a sense.
Yeah.
So you wonder, can your offense kind of stay on par with them? So these are the things we're going to be watching for over the next couple of weeks. I mean, at least the things that's going to be intriguing me. Again, the wins, losses right now aren't really my particular focus. I'm looking at seeing how Eric Bieniemy is progressing against these teams. I'm looking to see how Sam is progressing against these teams. Now, I think Eric's future here is more in flux than Sam's future here, because I think if Sam keeps on putting down the performance he's putting on, regardless of what GM you have coming, I think they're going to look at him and say, hey, this guy's on a cheap rookie deal. You know, he can do it. He can play. He has arm talent. We can roll with this guy. But Eric Bieniemy, on the other hand, you kind of don't know where he stands going into next year. You don't know if new management wants to bring him on, because obviously if you get a new GM, he's going to hire his coach. I mean, Eric Bieniemy obviously could be in that conversation. I mean, he should probably at the least get an interview, you know, but that doesn't mean he's going to get the job. Now, if they go out and they hire another guy, someone that they like, there's no guarantee that they're going to bring Eric Bieniemy back as an OC. So, again, Eric Bieniemy has a lot more to prove at this point than Sam. I think if you asked me this question at the beginning of the season, both of them probably had the same amount, but Sam is kind of putting himself in that box where you can roll with him regardless of who you bring in next year. Now it's Eric that has a lot more to prove. So you want to see how this offense looks over these next couple of weeks and Eric running it.
Yeah, man. Like one of the things that I was noticing, and it's crazy because I should have read the article when I had a chance. I tried to pull it up for a quick second. But where is the Ben Standig had a tweet linked to his article from The Athletic. Pre-draft evaluators slept on Brian Robinson, quote unquote, slept on Brian Robinson's pass catching chops. He noticed, meaning Brian Robinson, now the Commanders running back is blasting those takes while forming a strategic nightmare for defenses with Antonio Gibson. Quote unquote from, I think, Brian Robinson, they'll never know our next move. Let me bring AJ back in right quick. Okay. Boom, there we go. So my thing with to add on to the conversation, and even with Brian Robinson, why I bring that up, it's like you kind of notice like an evolution of an offense, right? Like think about the game against Seattle. I don't know how much I talked about the defense from a secondary standpoint. Oh, because I when I was on Tuesday, I only watched the first quarter. No, that was first quarter of defense. But yeah, like this offense in terms of the Commanders, like there was a time where the Seattle defense is fast, right? They fly across the field. They're disciplined and they communicate really well. And Washington met its challenge in terms from a secondary standpoint, right? A lot of the plays that they made downfield had a lot to do with after a play broke down / scramble drill, right? But throughout the course of the game, the most effective weapons in that game was the running backs, and the way Bieniemy utilized them, especially when those moments where you see the man coverage opportunities. That's how Antonio Gibson won on his touchdown. I mean, then you're talking about Brian Robinson late in the game where he's running a Texas route, right? Like that Texas route that Brian Robinson ran at the end that got him like 16 yards on. I forgot the name of the middle, the linebacker. It wasn't Wagner. But that route was the first time he ran that all season. But like his footwork was good. The way he set the defender up to beat the inside leverage was really good, right? And it's a dynamic. Not to say that he's like some excellent route runner, but what it does and what it shows from Bieniemy's side is that he's starting to trust his running backs in terms of how he can use either one of them in different type of situations downfield and not just in the flats, right? And then you're talking about Brian Robinson, who is showing his coach, if you dial this up for me, I'm gonna come through. And I think that's like an evolution of Bieniemy's offense in terms of how you can use other players and how you can grow in terms of your matchups and in terms of how you can win on a certain day. And nobody from the receiver side, I saw somebody who was at PC mention he want to see Jahan Dotson work out of his sophomore slump. And I know that probably stems from the fact that he had 0 catches on the day. Again, it goes back to opportunities because when you look at the offense in that day, he had 2 targets. It wasn't the best targets, right? But it's also a situation where, again, he's having moments of getting open, but he's not getting the ball. And that's not a criticism. It's just the facts. Like, you only see but so much. And the receivers in all, Terry only had like 2 really good targets, and both of those came in the fourth quarter. But to that point, and I'll close out because I know AJ hasn't been able to say anything yet. Like, that's kind of where this offense is growing in this way to utilize certain players, especially when your top 3, Curtis, Samuel, Jahan, and even Logan to an extent, even though he did all right on Sunday, they aren't necessarily working for you on that given day.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why I also mentioned that this offense is further ahead than this defense. Even before I ended up losing connection or whatever, you were touching on, Eric Bieniemy speaking on how like his side of the ball is having these conversations within the locker room, and not just it being primarily focused on just having fun or joking around with one another. They're talking about the X's and O's within the locker room. I think also with the offense, it's not predicated on force feeding guys the ball. That's just how it is. If you look at Kansas City, they don't necessarily force feed the ball to anyone in particular. Now they might have had to do that with Travis Kelce because of the lack of explosion that they're getting from the wide receiver group that they have overall. But even with the quarterback and what you want to see him improve on, a lot of those targets that guys are getting or the ball is being spread around is because they're literally giving him the look within the play call. So he's kind of going to the first read. Like, that's just where it's going. Unless it breaks down and then he keeps his head upfield like he did against Seattle, where B-Rob could get those opportunities to make those catches and have a receiving touchdown and have his greatest day as a running back, but in the receiving game, that's just what the offense calls for. You're going to have some games where Jahan's not going to have any targets or any catches. Some games Terry not going to have that, whatever. But that really boils down to the development of Sam Howell and what they can put on his plate within those game plans. As we've seen, Seattle in particular, their early approach was to be aggressive, was to get up on those wide receivers. So no matter if you want to force feed or whatever the case is with a Jahan, you can't necessarily say he's having a sophomore slump. I think you just got to get a better understanding of the offense, but also there's a defense on the other side of the ball that is trying to stop these guys. And they got talent. They got talent too. When you got 6'4" wide receivers that can move just like a 5'11" cornerback with speed, it's kind of hard for a guy like Jahan Dotson to get off that bump and run. It's kind of hard for Terry to get the early groove of how to go against this guy, what to give them on the release. Like that's just what it is. Like Seattle had a very aggressive defensive approach, and they want to get their hands upon you. And unfortunately, I will say Washington doesn't necessarily have like a physical wide receiver. They don't have a 6'4" guy that can big body any cornerback out there. They got to kind of use finesse in order to win those type of matchups. But I mean, my overall thing with Eric Bieniemy and the offense is way further ahead than the defense. If only they match the same type of intensity or development, awareness, adjustment, and approach to the game, maybe you wouldn't have a bottom-ranked defense that could complement what the offense is doing. Like the offense ain't looking like the St. Louis Rams or anything, but to be ranked 26 last year in certain categories and to be ranked in the top 15, that's a major improvement.
And let me just add to that too, AJ, that the offense still got a ways to go too. I mean, the fourth quarter was good. I mean, Sam and the offense had a good fourth quarter, but there was a lull where they just had a bunch of 3 and outs and they were getting off the field pretty early and they're not scoring. Yeah. And this is kind of the thing you're watching over the past couple of weeks. Like, while Sam and the numbers are looking good and Sam is showing the flashes you want to see, we still got to see more out of this offense, because at the end of the day, they're still not putting up enough points. I mean, if they want to start to go out there and win games, I mean, granted, again, the defense, I'm with you on this, AJ. The offense is ahead of the defense. But in order for this offense to really take this next level, they're going to have to start eliminating some of those early drives where they're out, the quick outs, the 3 and outs. They're going to have to start to sustain drives throughout the game. I mean, I love that Sam can do what he does in the fourth quarter, but now they're going to have to find a way to fight through the sluggish second and third quarters that they have, where they can't put up points, and then they're either fighting back in the fourth quarter or they're trying to make some kind of miraculous win. So that's one of the things, at least the next step you want to see in this offense. You want to see them kind of grab a game by the storm, in a sense, and maybe the defense isn't as much of a factor in this game. And I hate to say that, because the defense shouldn't even be where it's at right now. I mean, we expected this defense to be probably top 5, top 10. That's what we were talking about before the season. But now we're just like, now we have to score more points just to, kind of eliminate the issues we're seeing with the defense. But yeah, we want to see that's the next step with the offense. And AJ, I wanted to ask you this. Are you a Brian Robinson fan now?
Am I a Brian Robinson fan? No, I'm not.
He been balling, man. Come on, AJ. You gotta give that man his props, man. He been balling, man.
I feel like for the doubters of him coming out, like, that's the thing sometimes with guys going from college football to professional ranks, they automatically said that he can't catch the ball, but that's not what Alabama asked him to do.
Exactly.
So if you're not really getting the opportunity to do those things in college, you can't just say that person can't catch the ball. Now, is he a route runner on the next level? No, but he took advantage of the opportunity of the passes that he got. I mean, nobody wants to tackle a running back of his size and still has speed, maybe not like 4.3 speed, but no one wants to tackle a 6'2", 6'3", 225, 230-pound running back coming downhill when they got a full tank of steam. Like, it's different. So I'm happy for the plays that he made. But if we talking about overall as a running back, nah, man, I'm not seeing that out of him. But I guess what's surprising to me is Chris Rodriguez ain't had no carries. I don't even think he had a snap offensively in the last 2 or 3 games. I don't know if he did something.
Yeah,
but he went from
just not as good as the other dudes.
But you gotta think how they handling this though, bro. Like, Alex Arma was the dude that they've been using the last couple of weeks, but then also like, I think about Cole Turner, bro. Like, AJ, you texted us one way how you felt about it, and like, I didn't know what happened in the moment, like when he was sat down against Seattle, but it may just be the fact that they need certain numbers in a certain place. Because because anytime Alex Armour is in, that is the I thought that like the last 2 times it was the Cole Turner. It was a Cole Turner thing. Like he was the last man out or first man out type deal. But I say that to say, and the reason why I brought it up is because of Chris Rodriguez. Like maybe it's just a personnel thing, and they got some ideas on who to play before.
I mean, he should still get 1 to 2 carries though. Like I don't know. Like we not in that locker room. I have no clue what's going on. The Cole Turner thing really doesn't surprise me much. Yeah, I just think you know, I would at least expect Chris Rodriguez to minimum 2 carries.
So is it safe to say
him get almost 10 carries 3 weeks ago?
But no, AJ, I was gonna say, is it safe to say that Eric Bieniemy doesn't like Chris Rodriguez? Because you said you didn't think he liked
I don't think he liked any other running backs.
But they said Rodriguez was his guy. Like this was the guy he was kind of standing on the table for when they were drafting.
I think they wrong because if that's his guy, then his guy ain't getting no burn. Like at the end of the day, like you gotta either there's a disconnect where he's not doing the proper things, but then you know, practice during the week, personality wise, maybe he's showing up late to meetings. I have no clue because I can't understand how like 3 weeks ago, who they played 3 weeks ago. It was the Giants, right?
It was the Eagles.
Yeah.
Eagles. But he got
I'm about to double check.
Giants too, right?
I'm about to double check. Hold on.
Yeah. So it's like I really don't know the nuances of what's happening there, but
he had last snaps was against the Giants. That was it.
And didn't we just put a claim in for Michael Carter, the running back?
I heard we did.
Yeah, they put a claim in for him. They didn't get him obviously, but yeah, they did put a claim in for him.
I wasn't aware. Who ended up getting him?
I don't know. I didn't see it. I've been out of the loop.
Yeah, let me. I could tell you in 2 seconds.
But Michael Carter is supposed to be like a home run threat, so I don't know if that's. I mean, well, obviously, we have that. So yeah,
that's what I was going to say. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. So like, I think when it comes to B-Rob, and we're going to go ahead and get into. We're going to go ahead and get into. I'm scrolling down to try and figure out where was the tweet at. I'll worry about it later. So with the running back thing, bro, like I don't know how because AJ has said and I may be off base exact. Oh, Cardinals. All right, thank you, PC. He was at the Cardinals. So AJ has said several times like he just thinks that B-Rob isn't like he ain't it type shit, right? And I'm like in this space where like I understand halfway because I feel like AJ was talking about a perspective of having a complete running back. And that would include the ability to play make or create plays, but also like have that home run speed to finish what he created type shit, like being able to strike at a given moment. And that's that. I mean, that is what it is, right, within itself. And to that angle, if that's what you're saying, AJ, like I've always known that they needed another running back. Like I think that Brian Robinson is a really good change of pace back in the sense of he can come in as that spell back at any moment and break off something for I mean if the line's blocked up right, he could break off something for close to 30 40 something on a given play, but at the same time like he's your power back. Like that's what I think that change of pace is for him. I also think that he can score from the plus side, like anytime 49 and up. Like he has that capability, but the only flaw here in Washington is that since he's been here, the offensive line sucks. So he's literally every single yard that he gets is what he's earning. Like he literally earned it. But to that point, and the reason why I bring it up, I do think Washington needs that change of base. They need a more complete back, but I also think that you can win with Brian Robinson as your spell. You could probably even win with him as your starter. But you know, he's like I see things where I'm watching this tape and I'm like, all right, in theory, like some really good backs with really good vision can trust themselves to create this play. But he takes what the offense gives him, and he's okay with that in a sense.
Yeah, I mean, and that's why I always appreciated him. I mean, I know there's a saying that goes out there about Brian Robinson that If you need 2 yards, he's going to get you 2 yards. But if you need 2 yards or 3 yards, he's still going to get you 2 yards. I mean, that's kind of the saying about Brian Robinson, but I don't think that's true. I mean, Brian Robinson.
Oh hell, I'm about to say hell no.
Yeah, I was about to say. I mean, you know,
that's who was that dude who always
Peyton Barber. Peyton Barber,
bro.
That was the one. But people were trying to say that about Brian Robinson.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, but I never bought into that because Brian Robinson, if you ever watch him, he gets the tough yards, man. He'll get something that looks like it's supposed to be 2 yards, and he's still legs moving 5-6 yards down, 7 yards sometimes. I mean, he creates those things. As Mual said, the offensive line hasn't been good since he's been here, but he usually makes his own plays. And I know the knock on him for a lot of people is that he's not a home run threat. Yeah, I mean, sure. But I do think if you get him more in space often, he's hard to bring down. And AJ even mentioned this on the, guys don't want to tackle a guy at Brian Robinson's size. And, when he's going downhill, you don't want to tackle that guy. I mean, look at the pass that he caught, for Sam Howell when he goes for the touchdown. He's streaking down the sideline. No one wants to tackle that dude. Now, he may not be a home run threat, but you get him in space. He can take it all the way sometimes, but he doesn't get in space often. And that's because he doesn't get those kind of holes and the stuff that he had at Alabama and things of that nature. But again, Michael Carter is a guy that probably can be a home run threat on a more consistent basis, which is why they probably went after him because they don't have that guy on the roster right now. I mean, we've been talking about J.D. McKissick, we've been missing that kind of production since he's been gone, and no one has kind of really filled that role. Although I gotta say, Antonio Gibson the last couple of weeks has been putting on some good performances. But I mean, I don't know if it's the type of performance you would see out of a J.D. McKissick, or if that's why they're looking for a Michael Carter or whatever. But I mean, you still have something there, and the guys are starting to perform now. But I do see that they want that change of pace back, though.
So it's interesting with the running back situation, man. It's like, even though B-Rob is that big, he can't pass protect at all. Like, his pass protection.
Oh, bro. What's up, bro? What's up, bro?
Like, wait, if you compare him to Antonio Gibson, Antonio Gibson is the better pass protector out of that room. Like, it's just so frustrating. Like, it's so frustrating.
What's up, bro? What we doing right now, bro? What's up?
B-Rob's a better pass protector than Gibson.
I'm saying, put it this way. All I would say, bro, is
we got a comment in here. Brian Robinson reminds me of Arian Foster. How? How?
All right, well, Dre, I know you know who that's from, bro.
That's Buddy, whatever his name is.
Magic. That's Magic.
What was I gonna say? If you think Antonio Gibson is better than B-Rob, I think no,
that's not. I said pass protection.
No, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking the pass protection. If you think that Antonio Gibson is better than B-Rob, then our pass protection from the running backs just suck. Because I don't think
that's what it is.
I don't know, bro. Like, the last couple of weeks has been better. Like, I know that Giants game was terrible. Like, nobody could get right.
Who they play Sunday?
The Giants.
We're going, but we're going to see. Like, it's been completely different over the past 3 weeks. So, like, that's where we kind of have to transition into how they're going to be able to respond this weekend. And I guess, for the sake of us having this conversation, we're previewing the goddamn Giants game. Let's kind of go ahead and talk about this, right? I know we've been on offense for a long time. So I want to pause on offense, and we'll come back to it after we talk about the Commanders' defense. Bruh, what would it mean if Washington gave up allowed anything more than 14 points against this Giants offense, bro? Like, what does that look like? Because in my head, that's my part. Like, Jack Del Rio is a front runner. Like, he's gonna send the house on Tommy DeVito or whatever his name is. Like, he ain't gonna fuck around with this dude, bro.
You think so?
And he gonna. I think he. Bro, think about what he did to Atlanta dude, Devin Ritter.
Yeah,
Desmond Ritter, bro. Like, he ain't gonna fuck around with these young guys, bro. He gonna send the house, and he gonna be like, "Hey, bro," he gonna flex his little 70-year-old muscles, bro, And be like, yeah, we did that shit. And I don't know, bro. I just like if you give up more than 14 against this Giants team, bro. Like I feel like now as bad as this offense, as bad as defense, I think it is. In terms of expectations, comparing it to its expectations, yeah, bro, you ain't giving up more than 14 against these boys. You better not.
I think he can get fired if they lay a dud against the Giants. I think that's a fireable offense.
28 points.
Now I don't think that's going to happen, but if it does happen, I mean, you can start talking about the fire. But I actually agree with Mo. I actually believe it because Jack Del Rio without the edges chasing Montez, I think he's just going to be much more aggressive. And that was one of the issues I had with him with chasing Montez and all of the, the DL was here, is that he relied too much on pressure from the front four. I just think he thought that those guys were going to just automatically win their matchups. And a lot of times they weren't on a consistent basis, which is why we were having issues we were having. But now that those guys aren't there, Jack's going to dial up more pressure now. Now he's going to be like, oh, no, I can go out there and do this. I'm going to do that, and I'm not going to just rely on the front four. So Mual might be right. I do think he's going to bring that pressure in on Tommy DeVito, Danny DeVito's son. Or is that Danny DeVito's son? I could be wrong, but it's not many DeVitos out there.
Great. If you believe, I want to see someone get fired. I know it sounds bad. I just want to see it. Like, I want to experience it. So if you believe that 14 is the number, let's go for 20 or more because I want to see Jack Del Rio fired.
All right. Well, let's ask this question then. Well, I don't think this ain't gonna change your opinion, but I'm gonna ask this: say Washington wins 41-20.
What about it?
That's different.
Are we talking about moving on from Del Rio then?
No, I don't think so. I think it has to be a situation.
I don't believe it's going to happen anyways, but I mean, I would love for it to happen.
No, I think they have to get embarrassed. I think it has to be on the brink of a loss, and the defense is pretty much the reason, why they are on the brink. They either have to be on the brink of a loss, or they actually have to lose the game.
So I think it's a high
possibility.
So like a 27-24 type game. And I'm not talking about who wins or loses, but like something where the Giants score more than 21 points and it's a close game.
And they're not scoring points from their defense. They're scoring points from their offense. And like I said, the offense is doing their job. It has to be a situation where the offense is doing their job. And they could either lose the game or they could barely win the game. It has to be that kind of embarrassment because that's where the Giants are at right now. Like people are looking at the Giants as that's a lot. That's a team you go out there and dominate. So if you go out there, and we've already had one embarrassing game against the Giants, and that was in New York, but now you're here. So you can't do that again. The defense cannot have an embarrassing game that leads to an almost loss or an L. I think he can get fired if they do.
You know what? You know what's funny, bro? Like what? Let me stick to the game. All right. So defensively, since we're still on this side, bro, we kind of know. Here's my thing with Casey Tuhill and James Smith-Williams, right? And everybody else on that defensive line that's not named Deron Payne and John Allen and the rookies. I guess that kind of just technically leaves FAO bottom. So whatever. Anyway, point being, I think this is their money-making game. Like, I think when you think about keys to the game and you're talking about 3 free agents, it was 5 at one point before they traded the two Sweat and Young. This is a game where you look at this defensive line and you're saying there's no way that you spin the block against the Giants after losing. You only gave up 14 points, commendable, but you gave up 14 points to a bad offense back then. Now they have Tommy DeVito. But this defensive line, you have this opportunity to spin the block against this opponent, and it starts with John and Deron, but then also like Casey, James, and F.A. are in this position where, like, if you want to like stat pad, bro, like this is the week. And I don't know exactly how much they'll be able to get accomplished against this defensive line. This offensive line. But at the same time, like there's no reason why we finish this game and we're not talking about a defensive line who pressured the quarterback all day, like actual pressures, and not necessarily the Sam Howell ones where you're talking about he's holding the ball too long because he's unsure or something like that, right? So we're talking about a team who actually pressured the quarterback all day, but also was able to win in multiple situations where they're getting back to the quarterback. I'll close out with the defensive line just saying, like, bro, like it's one of those games where this should be relatively like, bro, so many people hurt. I'm looking at Andrew Thomas, who I think just got on the injury report like within like the past couple of weeks. I know he's been on for like a longer period earlier in the season. But in terms of recently, he's on the injury report. And then the same thing with Evan Neal. Evan Neal didn't even practice on Wednesday. So I don't know the status of today. But I just think that this defensive line is in a situation where we're talking about a relatively easy, or excuse me, I shouldn't say easy, but relatively solid performance, strong performance, and that's where the production starts for the defense in Washington against the Giants, and even with Forbes coming back.
I think that the defense could really help out the Giants' offense a lot because exactly what Wink Martindale was doing when it was Nick Gates and it was Sadiq Charles at the center and the left guard position is still going to take place against Larson and Chris Paul, and they've been showing on film that they struggle with these stunts. they struggle with these loop stunts. Like, it's still going to happen. Yeah, they lost Leonard Williams because of the trade, but Dexter Lawrence is still there. He's still expected to play. And I heard Eric Bieniemy today in his presser. He was
hold on. Are we talking about? We still on the defensive side, bro. I just realized that. My bad, man. Cause I know you talking about the offense. I'm over here.
I was saying that what I was saying was the New York Giants offense is going to actually help the New York Giants offense overall, their defense. Okay. Like, the Giants defense is going to help that offense be in better position to attack Washington's defense due to I think that they're going to flip the field in some regard, whether that be sack, fumble, interception. I just think with Washington defense, there's not really much that you can look forward to. I think all you can do is hope that you can get Emmanuel Forbes to play with some confidence and get some interceptions and get his hand on the ball. Pause. That's really all you can look forward to when it comes to defense. Just like how some people have given up on the season looking at the quarterback, I feel like when it comes to the defense, you just got to hope that first round pick and that second round pick make some plays. Because what else do we really have to look forward to?
So I think there's a couple things. You asked that on Tuesday as well, and Dre, you got the floor after this. I'll be quick. Bro, like, Quan is still out there. Another thing that we aren't talking about too much right now because, like, he's quiet, but he's also, like, literally haven't played all but one game heading into this season. Big Phil Mathis, he's back after the last couple of weeks. This is your youth. KJ Henry, Andre Jones, like, these younger guys, that's your youth that you're going to have on this team for at least 2 years. Not necessarily the full, because they may get cut sometime soon, right? Who knows what this new regime is going to do. But my point being, I don't think you're necessarily wrong from the overall perspective. Like, even Kendall Fuller's a free agent coming up. Danny Johnson's been around for what feels like a goddamn decade. But he's been around long enough to know what you have in him. But overall, like, some younger guys on this team is in a situation where you can kind of get an early glimpse into what their situation is going to look like when the next team takes over.
Yeah, and actually, I'm glad you all mentioned kind of the young guys because I'm looking at the defensive line. I think we mentioned that, well, at least I think Tuhill and James Smith-Williams, Neither one of them are under contract. I mean, obviously, it wouldn't be hard to probably bring those guys back. But this is the time for KJ Henry and Andre Jones to make a name for themselves as edge rushers on this team. Because right now, that's really the spot on the defense where you're looking to see, hey, is there a guy there? I mean, you know, we've been hearing the preseason reports about Jones and KJ Henry, especially Jones. Like, Jones stood out in the preseason training camp. So can he now, with the extended playing time, start to make a name for himself? Was it Jones? I could be wrong. Was it him that got the really bad roughing the passer call one game where he had a sack? Or was that KJ?
KJ.
Okay, so it was KJ Henry. So, but outside of that, there's been no sacks, I think, since Chase and Montez has been gone. I don't think no one on that defensive line one
John,
sack. Okay, John Allen.
got a
John
sack.
Allen.
Yeah,
that's right.
And he got a 0-yard sack.
Yes, and that was pretty much just a loss of down. It wasn't a real sack. But anyway, it's time for some of those guys to start making names for themselves. You know, not even just the sacks, maybe get the pressure rates up. Jamin Davis in the middle. I mean, Jamin Davis, I think he's been having probably his best season, but that's not saying much because the bar has been kind of low for him as far as his career has gone so far. But he's having his best season so far. But you want to see him kind of show and elevate to the point where you're like, all right, this is a guy, this is one of the core pieces on defense going forward, because he has to establish himself as that, because right now he is not a core person on the defense, because if you're thinking that Ron and him is gone, no one has an attachment to Jamin Davis after this year. So now you have to have him, you know, establish himself as that guy. Cam Curl, what are you doing with Cam Curl? Cam Curl, I don't know if you're paying him. I don't know if he's even had a season worthy of paying him. I mean, Cam Curl is solid. Yes, he's solid. But my issue with Cam Curl, he doesn't make plays. He doesn't make plays, you know.
Bro.
I was trying to do like a hand emoji, like getting the boot, like.
I figured that was gonna get a reaction out of AJ, because AJ's been on point with Cam Curl since before the season. I mean, AJ's been really consistent with it, and I'm kind of almost with AJ on that, because again, Cam Curl's solid. I like Cam Curl, but Cam Curl, in my opinion, he just doesn't make plays, and I want a playmaker at one of those safety spots. I don't know if you have a playmaker at all at the safety spot, you know.
I think, to add, I don't think you're wrong, bro. Cam Curl is not a playmaker. I want to ask this question, and you all can continue. Matter of fact, y'all got the floor. I don't think that. Let me just reiterate: y'all aren't wrong about Cam. He's not a playmaker, but at the same time, how problematic is that for a defense if, like, he's just doing his job? Like, you'll see him sometimes take a receiver or a tight end out of the play with this coverage, or you'll see him make a play at the line of scrimmage or in the box generally. I know, and I want to acknowledge this part. Sometimes when he does get targeted, the worst part is he don't even make a play on the ball. Like, he's there, and sometimes he doesn't make a play on the ball. Sometimes they go right through his hands, and as we know in the Buffalo game. So I swing this back to you all. And the reason why I asked this is, like, are we taking for granted a person who's literally doing their job, or are we more afraid of the idea of overpaying somebody who is just like and I don't mean to be this in a disrespectful way, but more so in a flashback, a Reed Dowdy, somebody who was always in position. And
I don't know how you say Reed Dowdy and then say,
hey,
that's disrespectful.
I
ain't going that far, Mo. I ain't going that far, Mo.
The reason why I bring up, but the reason why I bring up Reed is because Reed wasn't a problem in the run game. He made plays at the line of scrimmage. But the issue was he was always there in coverage, but he never made a play on the football. So that's my recollection of Reed. I'm not talking about from anything else except for like the high level stuff.
My recollection of Reed is him giving up about 4 touchdowns to Terrell Owens in one game. I just remember Terrell Owens killed us one game because he could never get over it.
That was 07. You know what I'm saying? He can't.
Yeah.
All right. You know what? Scratch that from the record. Then fuck it. Scratch it from the record. Then I ain't never said that. I'm sticking to my original question, man. What y'all think about a person who who's there in position to make plays, but he don't turn the ball over. He don't rush it. He don't flip the field for your team. Leave it there. Then.
I'll be really
How about
quick.
that?
I'll be really quick with this one, Maul. So for the money that Cam Curl's commanding, he's commanding, I believe, probably top 8 safety money. You're probably going to pay him 14 to 16 million if you want to keep him back, somewhere in that range, to do his job. But you know who else does their job that we're not going to pay that much? James Smith-Williams and Casey Toohill. They do their job. But we aren't going to pay those guys, kind of top of the market money to keep doing their job. I'm not saying that Cam Curl is like that much of a jag or whatever the case may be, but it's to the point where you want to see him be more than what he is now to kind of justify paying him. So I guess that kind of go back to your question. I'm more on the side of I fear overpaying Cam Curl more than anything. Okay. I like Cam Curl. I think Cam Curl's a solid player. Again, I don't think Cam Curl's a bad player. And that's why I kind of thought it was an offensive to kind of mention Reed Doughty with his name, because I wouldn't put Cam Curl kind of in that Reed Doughty tier, or even in the sense that that's the type of player he is. But I'm scared of overpaying Cam Curl.
Yeah, I think really what it comes down to Cam Curl, the value of someone doing their job is cool, but it's also how do you value yourself on the marketplace? If you feel like you're $14, $15 million a year safety, then I'm cool. I'd rather get somebody that don't do their job and pay them way less. I feel like what Cam Curl brings to the table, you can get out of somebody in the draft, or even if you don't get it immediately, you can take that risk. We're talking about a 7th round pick here. That honestly, him staying with the team really depends on how he evaluates himself going into the offseason. He will quickly learn that what he wants is not realistic. And if that's the case,
what do we think he wants? Excuse me.
I mean, I think that he wants at least $14 million a year minimum. I think he's in the same situation as like a CJ Gardner-Johnson last year. You seen him think that he was going to command all this money at the safety position, and that market dried up real quick, and he wasn't one of the guys that got paid, which was it was slim to none. But when you talk about safeties that could be possibly out there, maybe they don't have the same exact role, but let's take like a Darnell Savage, even a Kevin Byard, who got I'm not saying his last name right, but they got traded from the Titans to Eagles. You got Buda Baker that's going to be available. Wouldn't you rather pay a leader and someone that's shown they've done it at an elite level that brings more to the table, $14 million, and a Buda Baker versus a Cam Curl? Like, it's just the market is going to dictate what he gets paid, and that market could be $6 million, like what CJ Gardner got for 1 year. It's just really gonna boil down to Cam Curl and his representation. But I feel like when you see the things that have been put out there, you hear the rumors, then you also kind of got Pops in the mix, putting out his little thing.
You still talking?
Huh?
I don't follow him. I was saying, is he still?
I don't follow him either. I don't know if he's still talking or not. But when he's put that out there, you kind of already know that they've had internal conversations, and also has got the family prepared for what they expect. Because a lot of agents, I don't know who his agent is, but a lot of agents sell dreams, man. Like, they could be telling him they could, get $15 million in the open market. We really just don't know. But I think the downfall for him is Buda Baker is a free agent next year, contract void, by the way, whoever PCP is. But yeah.
PCC.
But yeah, at the end of the day, I think he's in a situation where the market will tell you what he's valued, and maybe someone else will pay him. But I think it hurts him that a new GM is coming in place and he doesn't have a contract already. He probably should have tried harder for that contract before the season started.
Okay. So let's go ahead and close this out with like our thoughts on the offense. Quick expectations. Honestly, bruh, like I've 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 always said, well, I don't know. Maybe correct me if I'm wrong. Matter of fact, I don't even want. I just fuck it. The Giants is a tough team for Washington to beat over the last few years. And that's an understatement. Like they really are like their Achilles heels in the division. Like Washington beat the Philadelphia Eagles, they beat the Dallas Cowboys, but for whatever fucking reason, they cannot beat the New York Giants. And that's under Daniel Jones. But I think this team, again, like I said, there should be no reason why undrafted free agent. Now, I am setting expectations, and this may be unfair given that we've seen 10 weeks of the defense and we know what they're capable of. But this is a team where you're not giving up as many points. You're not allowing as many yards, right? But offensively, you're talking about a team where I look at Sam Howell and I hear how he's explaining his process against the Philadelphia Eagles compared to the idea of going up against the Giants again, and understanding that he's aware that teams play him differently. And given that he's played the Eagles twice, you know, they stick to what they believe in, right? Philosophically. But you're talking about this offense where like that second half against the Giants was much better than the first, right? And while you only scored 7 points on the game, you're talking about a situation or a game where you left a lot on the table. And when I say you, I mean not just from a schematic standpoint, play calling standpoint in the first half, but the opportunities that Sam Howell had. And I think it was just an overall bad game. Like he was inaccurate in some things, right? So he was getting pressure a lot, but there were some moments where he had time to make throws, and that's what I'm referring to, right? And I think the patience that we've seen since that Giants game, the ability to keep his eyes downfield over or since the Giants game, you're talking about a quarterback who's going to see probably the same thing from Wink, bro. He's shown you the same thing over the 3 games that he's been here under Dayball. And now it's about what can Sam do, and what can this newly revamped offensive line, quote unquote, revamp, because you know what I'm talking about, a center and a left guard change. This is an offense where I don't see a way where with all this preparation and lessons learned that you don't go out there and you're not able to score at least 3 touchdowns against this Giants team.
Yeah, I mean, for me, again, I've already said it. Like, if you go out there and you kind of embarrass yourself against the Giants team, there's probably firings happening or whatever. I mean, I think this is a game. I mean, again, Maul, as you said, I mean, we struggle against the Giants for whatever reason. It doesn't matter how the Giants are. I mean, you can go back to the Kirk years when we were just 1 game away from the playoffs and we're losing to a Giants team that has nothing to play for on the last game of the season. I mean, they typically do this to us. But I just feel like this is a time where Washington has to kind of shake that. I mean, they're not playing against Daniel Jones, Eli Manning, or anybody else the Giants have tried it out at quarterback. I mean, they're playing against Tommy DeVito. I mean, this is a team that just went out. I mean, they've lost a combined 2 games to the Cowboys this year, 89-10. You know, 89-10 in 2 games this year to the Cowboys. So, I mean, and then they go out and they beat us 14-7 in the game. But obviously, Tyrod Taylor was starting in that game. Tyrod Taylor, I mean, he doesn't play often. I mean, he gets hurt a lot. But when he does play, he's a capable quarterback in this NFL league. I mean, we've already seen that. But Tommy DeVito hasn't shown you anything that Tyrod Taylor has shown you in his career to say that this is a guy that can come out here and beat you. So that's why I mainly said that if you lose to this Giants game, firings are on the table. I know that we've kind of been saying that we're waiting to the end of the season to make changes happen. But this is a game where I feel like it's embarrassing if you lose. You cannot lose this game. Like, you have to go out and win, especially with the good momentum that you built up over these last couple of weeks. I mean, you beat the Patriots. I mean, the offense played good against Seattle. You actually think that you have a quarterback now that can be a franchise quarterback. I mean, this is not just the fan base saying this. A lot of people, I mean, obviously they're saying people in the Washington building. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that just means Ron and his crew, or if that means Josh Harris and his ownership group. But there's conversations going on that they may have found a franchise guy in Sam Howell. So that's a lot of momentum going for the franchise right now to come out and lose to what right now, and I'm not even being like, I'm not exaggerating or being over the top. I think the Giants are right now the worst team in the NFL, and that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
I think they're the worst team in the NFL.
They up there, bro.
Yes.
They don't they don't have a quarterback.
They don't.
Nothing.
They don't.
They don't have an offensive line. Like
they've even sold at the deadline. You're not facing a Giants defense with Leonard Williams out there this week. I mean, so they're not even a team right now that believes they're probably Carolina in a hunt for doing anything. Yes, I mean Carolina's bad, but I think the Giants are worse. I mean, because Bryce Young, yes, I'm taking Bryce Young over DeVito all day long. That's why I say if you lose this game, there's something that has to happen. You just can't lose this game and just keep going on with this season as it is. So with that said, I mean, this is a game you have to just get over that slump with the Giants. You have to just go out there. You have to grab this game. And this is a game where Sam Howell can, solidify himself in a sense. I mean, even though a lot of people may not take it serious, but this will be 4 good games in a row for Sam Howell. And that's something. I mean, regardless of the opponent, to just put together those string of games, I mean, that's something that people can hang on to. That's something you can latch on to. This is something, as we mentioned, the defense, those KJ Henrys, the Andre Jones, they can make a name for themselves in this game. So, this is what I'm looking for in this game. I'm looking for them to kind of go out there and grab this game by the storm.
But to the Sam Howell point, bro, like it's not the defense of the Giants that's really real, and it's the offense, bro. And that's where I think, I mean, sure, they traded Leonard Williams, right? And that's a big piece. Like it's like Leonard Williams and Dexter Lawrence was a dog ass duo. And I think for Washington, I still think like the pressure schemes and what Wink dials up and how coordinated that defense is. Not saying that they're a good defense, but they're still coordinated. Like that can be a personnel thing, right? That's what's really going to get Washington in terms of like the test. If they can get that shit together, we're talking about and they look good on Sunday. If they get it together and they look good on Sunday, to your point, 4 good games in a row. Like it's a sample size of now he's in a moment where he's faced a previous opponent and he's looked really good. So like you're adding different variables into his performances and you're seeing exactly what he can do for your team, especially when he has a bad moment, how he responds. And he's been able to respond throughout the entire season after bad games. The question was always about consistency. And 3 games in a row is good, but you need to keep seeing more and more growth for Sam Howell. And I'm, like we always said, Dre, I'm encouraged or excited to really see like where he takes it. We don't know where the ceiling is just yet. But yeah, that's kind of where we are. All right, let's end it with predictions, man. Predictions and MVP. I'll start first, Dre. I'm gonna go with Washington. I don't see a way in which they lose. So if they do lose, color me. Honestly, I don't care who. He is too good of a coach, Ron Rivera, to lose to this type of team. And when I say he's too good of a coach, I don't think he's a good coach. But you get what I'm saying. It's impossible for him to lose some shit like this. So if he loses, color me surprised. So I'm gonna go Washington wins, man, and I'm gonna say Washington wins about 31-14 on the dot. MVP. I'm sorry, MVP. I'm gonna go. Just I want to show my boys some love, man. I'm gonna go Jahan Dotson, bro.
Okay, hey, I like that. I'm a Jahan Dotson guy, so I love that pick. But I'm going Washington 27-10 this week. I think we kind of win by double digits. Good big win. And my MVP, I mean, he may not be considered an MVP because of this, but I think Emmanuel Forbes has an interception and he has a big day this week. Bounce back game for him. I mean, after the ejection, and I think you'll hear his name. Like I said, it may not be no one else's MVP, but if he has an interception in a good game, he's going to be my MVP. And I got 27-10 Washington.
AJ, you hear, big dog?
Yeah, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think. Damn, what do I think? I think that.
Oh, you know what's about to happen, bro. Skins finna win. Just pick your skull and pick your MVP, brother.
No, I actually think that Washington will lose by 3 points. Um, I definitely believe that there will be some turnovers that impacts this game. I don't know exactly.
Dre, you hear this, man, bro?
AJ funny as shit.
I, I anticipate them losing. Like that's my call.
No, it's my fault, Maul. Because since I said Jack Del Rio could be fired if they get embarrassed, AJ has tunnel vision now. He has tunnel vision.
I mean, hey, I want to see
Come on,
somebody
bro.
get fired. But my honest
bruh.
opinion is, I think divisional games are always going to be close, no matter what the Giants got going on with their injuries, their quarterback situation. There's too much information out on each other in general, and I think that Washington isn't creating enough turnovers to the point to where I feel comfortable like, oh, they're going against Danny DeVito's long lost son, that I think that they're going to get a whole bunch of turnovers. I just believe that it's going to be a close game. And ultimately it will come down to the fact that someone is going to have more turnovers than the other, and that's who's going to win the game as far as who creates the most. And that's just my prediction. I think if I have to pick an MVP, I still think that Terry McLaurin will have a big day against whoever he's going to be whoever's going to be defending him. I don't know who's playing corner because if I'm not mistaken, I think Deontay Banks is hurt, and also Adoree Jackson. They both have concussions.
All right.
Sorry to disappoint you.
No. You didn't disappoint me. I don't know if you disappointed. I'm sure you're gonna have some comments sent your way. So check the comment section in about a day or two, to see how many you accumulated about your response in this moment. But I don't. Ron is in this space, bro, where it's like, bro, you surely cannot lose to these boys, bro. Like in theory, you can lose, but like you can't afford to lose to these boys, and your boy Jack can't afford to give up more points than what your offense scored, no matter what it is. If the offense couldn't score 7, and they scored 6, you can't allow that Giants team to score more than 6. Like this is kind of how it is. But I don't know, man. It's gonna be a weird game. From a standpoint of like you don't really trust your gut when it comes to the Giants, but at the same time, bro, it's just hard. It's hard to sit here and imagine that this team can't handle business against the New York Giants. I know Hawk in the chat mentioned earlier in the show that this team always plays down in this competition. To an extent, sure. But you know, we got to remember they handled business last year against some teams. The Texans was the first one that comes to mind. We knew that they sucked, and they had that long neck quarterback. I forgot his name.
Davis Mills.
Yeah, Davis Mills, bro, who can see. He can be 5 foot tall and he can still see over his offensive line with that neck, bro.
Neck.
Yeah, man. So that was one game where you look at it and you're saying like these boys, they can really take over a game. But to that point, your overall thought, sure, they do play down to the competition and play up to like the likes of the Eagles. Still finds a way to lose. I don't know. Anyway. Here we go. Me and Dre got Washington winning rather comfortably. AJ has Washington losing in a close, tight game. So we're going to spin the block on Sunday, man, after the game, and we're going to go ahead and chop it up with you all 4:30-ish. I think the game started 1. Yeah, we're going to be over here at 4:30, man, on Trapper Dive YouTube channel. So appreciate everybody who tapped in live. Again, if you haven't done so, like, subscribe, rate, review if you're on the audio side. Dre, AJ, y'all be safe, man. Prayers to your internet, Dre. Hope you don't lose it, man. Placing your bets on that new app. I don't know.
ESPN, baby. ESPN. Yes.
That's so weird. I ain't gonna lie to you, but I'm not complaining. Like hearing ESPN has a sports book now, bro, it's crazy.
Did you get the free bet, Small? Did you get your free money?
So I forgot to do it earlier when you told me. No, I'm sorry. I was going to do it, and I got sidetracked with work, so I actually need to do it still. But I
go
thought
get your $200, man.
okay, all right. So I'm gonna go ahead and handle that then.
Yeah, do that.
You got you got to place a bet, right? That's what I was thinking. Somebody told me
you got
to
place a $5 bet. Just go put a $5 bet in. Hey, you get your $200, man.
Say no more, man. We logged in, baby.
Four $50 bets. That's what they give you. $4 $50
$50 bets. All right, bet. So I got 4 parlays to hit the motherfucking gusto.
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Hey, I'm logged in there, bro. All right, we out of here. We'll be back Sunday evening, recapping the Giants and Commanders game. Enjoy y'all weekend, man. Peace.